Instagram, so we'll just leave that one. All right, let's go. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Now, I am being totally upstaged today, which is not very hard to do, by the pretty in pink Jo Cameron. Good morning, Jo.
Good morning. Hello.
How good does she look,
Hi.
guys? How good does she look? Even in really bad lighting at her friend's house, how good does she look?
Thanks. I didn't realize it's really bad lighting, but I do now. Thanks for that.
No, it's okay. It's good. Hey guys, I asked Jo onto the podcast because you know what, like, so we have an internal team chat, right, between our coaches, and I requested that one of our support coaches just do a before and after on Jo. I'm just like, can you give me a really, really clear before and after photo on Jo? And I think Carly might have just posted it. And I'm just like, man, 9 kilos on, that looks like 20 kilos on you. Like the change to your tonality and your definition, like you look vibrant.
Yeah, I'm really short, so I think that makes a big difference to like the number of kilos per centimeter tall I am. Yeah.
Which that's not just like hearsay. That's actually true. If you think about it, right? If typically my reference range is men. When I see men who are 6 foot, they typically don't start getting worried till they're at about 120 kilos, as an example. Whereas a guy my height tends to get worried at about 100 kilos, right? Because I'm short or middle height. Actually tall for a Maltese guy. That's what they say. Anyway, let's not worry about me. Let's talk about to you. So let's go back 6, 8 months?
6 months, pretty much 6 months to the day last weekend.
Yeah. So firstly, like, why were we starting? What was the whole reason that we got started in the first place?
Well, I'm 54 and I have struggled like my entire life, pretty much same story everybody that you talk to has, my entire life. I can remember, like, I've done every diet. I can remember as a teenager doing, some kind of low carb diet and just having a meltdown and crying to my mother saying, I just want to eat a potato. And so I've done this forever. I got to the point where it was just really messing with my head. I was sad. Like, I was really sad. And I just felt like I was a frumpy old lady, and I was starting to feel old on the inside, and I did not want to feel like that. I don't know what happened, but you know what? I went, is this now the rest of my life? And so I went, you know what? I got to do something else. And at the start, and I'm sure everybody thinks at the start, it's another one of those things you're going to do, and it's probably not going to work. But you're going to start it anyway, because at the start of all of these, you always think they're going to work.
Of course.
And I just, went, well, let's try another one. Here we are. This is the one. This is the one.
So when you say you were kind of almost like, not quoting, but dying from the inside out, what can you try to define that? Can you tell me what you mean by that? Like, how were you feeling old from the inside out?
I felt like, okay, everything is broken. My metabolism's broken. I'm menopausal. I've been menopausal since 42, so early menopause. So that's shit house. I blamed everything. I'm too tired to do anything properly. I'm too busy to do anything properly. Feel down. I was sad. Like, it was 100% affecting my intimacy with my husband, who's the most amazing man in the world, and would tell me every day how beautiful I was. Wow. But I did not feel beautiful. I did not feel attractive. So I was like, that cannot be true. He cannot find me attractive. And so it affected intimacy, and that affects your relationship, and that affects your demeanor. And I mean, everything. I would worry every day about what I was wearing. Can you see my roles in this? I'd go into a meeting and I'd make sure I was sitting in a spot which is a stupid thing to think. There are so many powerful, successful, larger women. No one's looking at their belly in a meeting, but literally that's what I thought people were doing. And it just affected my everyday. It was always there. I was always thinking about it, and it made me feel deflated. It made me feel negative. I was cranky at everything. It's almost like you're always on the defensive because you think people are judging you, so you're on the defensive all the time. I was sad. I was really sad. So
if you're watching on and you're listening live, particularly if you're a woman, I'd love to hear if you resonate with what Jo is saying, because Jo, it isn't probably since the last 2 years, realistically, that I've really started to understand the pressure of peri and menopause and how that plays with our feelings. And I don't just mean that on a superficial level, my hormones are a bit upset. I'm talking women describing deep down depressive moments, not dissimilar in a way, but for different reasons, to a man who's just retired and he's lost all his sense of purpose in the world after being the breadwinner for so long. It's kind of like that stage of life. And so you're saying that you dealt with those feelings from like early 40s for over a decade. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. And I started early hormone replacement, and I could tell the differences hormone replacement was making to the symptoms that you get with menopause. But it wasn't enough to deal with the depression and anxiety and the negativity. The negativity was just overwhelming. And I didn't think it was the menopause causing the negativity. I just thought it was, I just felt shit about myself. And that was going to be my life from now on. I was just going to get through it, just surviving. And I got to the point was like, I can't, like, I got a long time, hopefully, ahead of me. I cannot live like this forever. It's affecting everything that I do.
Would you say it was a rock bottom, or was there further to go?
I didn't know it was a rock bottom. And you know what? I didn't really know how unhappy or how negative I was until I know now that there's a difference. Like, I can see it, I've got a comparison.
There's a polarity.
Yeah.
Okay. So was there a specific moment that caused you to, can you remember back? Like, was there something you saw either with a reel from Carly or Erin, or was there a moment that you tried to dress on, or was there a real trigger that made you go, you know what, now's the day?
There was no real trigger. And I think that's because this had been my life forever. So there was nothing that had changed dramatically that made me go, that's it.
Right.
But, yes, I would try dresses on and go, I can't wear that. I've got nothing to wear. And my wardrobe is completely full of stuff, but everything I put on just would not fit.
Right.
But it was Carly's reels.
Right.
And I did the whole, reply meal plan if you want my meal plan. So I replied meal plan, got the auto response that says, hey, tell me more about you. And I was like, oh God, they just want to sell me something. But I did go through and I did watch the things. And I'm like, actually, what they're talking about is what I want. I do want that. I do want that. And so whatever it was, it worked. And I got on the sign up call, and I was in from that moment. I thought I had a unique story. And when I was telling that story, I think it was to Stu, I was telling that story and I thought that was unique. And he's like, well, no, this is like a normal story, and this is the type of people we can help. And I was like, really? Like, you've got experience helping people like me?
Jo, that makes me so happy. Not only is Stu such a compassionate, beautiful human, he is just like, that's it. When you're stuck, and it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, when you're stuck, it's not just that you're physically stuck, it's mentally, I feel like my circumstances are so unique that I'm broken. I'm unfixable. It's funny, when I recall my own kind of transformation, Jo, I remember thinking, I'm just so fucked in the head that I can imagine myself being the homeless guy on the corner of Surrey Hills, like just getting so caught in my head and getting so twisted in my head that I end up just like begging for food type guy, like homeless guy. Like, it sounds a bit ridiculous, but that's the the stupidity of the mind games we play on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the reason that at the core, people lose hope. And hope is a really important piece of the puzzle, because let's talk about how you started your journey the first couple of weeks. One of the first things that needs to come early is a sense of hope and a sense of belief. And I think a lot of the time you get that from borrowing hope from other people, either in the community or on a coaching call, right? Can you talk to that? Just talk to the first month.
It's funny because I think it was at the time of my life where there was a bit of hope. I made a decision to sell my house, move to the South Coast, try and deal with building a house and all the stress that comes with that, having to commute to Canberra 3 days a week to work. We didn't have a house, so we live in the van when we're in Canberra most of the time, except when I'm house sitting, my friend's house and dog. But I can remember Carly saying to me, why would you choose now to do it though? Like, why did you do that in the middle of all that disruption? And I'm like, well, everything else is disrupted. Like, just fucking go for it. Let's just do everything. And then I am definitely an all or nothing person. So I did everything at the start, and I was all in the group. The community was amazing. I could tell immediately the community was amazing. I could tell everybody had the same story as me. So then you feel free to share. You feel free, and I would say I would feel free to share challenges, but I didn't feel like I had any. I thought, I'm smashing this. And that the first time I didn't smash something, I was like, this is a turning point.
Yeah.
Because I was at the point where, like, I didn't do my 10,000 steps on day 157 or something ridiculous. And I was like, now what has got me, what is to stop me from going, oh, well, I didn't do them yesterday. I don't have to do them today. And it doesn't matter if I skip them 3 days from now. And then it doesn't matter if I skip them. And then if I've skipped that, it doesn't matter if I skip this. So in my head, I had to fight with that. And the people in the community, and you especially, are like, fucking get over yourself. Like, it doesn't matter. 1 day for the rest of your life will not matter. 2 days of the rest of your life will not matter. Just go back to the things that do matter and do those things. And so
it's a really good point. A lot of the time I think like coaches feel that their job is to just like keep encouraged, like it'll be okay. Like a lot of the times people, and I'm definitely someone who just needs to be like, just woken up. Like, dude, you missed your fucking steps. It's not a big deal. Just start again. Do better tomorrow. Right. And if we all had that approach, we wouldn't get so hung up on this feeling of failure. And it's really ironic to hear that from you, to say, I'm an all or nothing person. And then usually what I follow that statement with is like, okay, cool. And how's that working for you? The key is
it works until it doesn't work.
100%, right? And you're not an all or nothing person. You've managed to operate in that gray a little bit. And some days just an average day is actually a tick in the box, and we start again tomorrow, right? So, what do you think for you was the main, maybe one or two things that you felt like you were kind of getting wrong or doing wrong prior to this? Like what do you think was leading you down a path of where you couldn't fix it? Was it something to do with like the way you're eating? Was it something to do with the way you were thinking about exercise? Was the whole all or nothing approach? Like what kind of comes to mind?
I would say it's 100% eating. I've always exercised. I probably did walk 4 or 5 days a week anyway, getting my 10,000 steps. I mountain bike a couple of times a week. I was doing some resistance training in the gym anyway, not in the gym, at home. But I was doing the 1,200 calorie diet each time. No, barely any protein, barely any carbs. So I was literally having like a salad for lunch, and like the nutrition, I think 100% has made the difference for me. And like everybody who starts, they're like, how much food is there? I'm never going to eat all this. And then you start to realize that, okay, well, you're 6 months down the track, maybe there's not enough food. And you do eat all of it, but it keeps you full and it makes you feel amazing. Yes. And the protein makes all the difference. I would never, ever have eaten. I maybe be lucky to eat 40, 50 grams of protein a day.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, that's the reason that most people, if I can just give a little bit of coaching to anyone that's listening live, you can cut calories to 1200. You can. If you're eating a really high protein diet and you're doing resistance training, you can do short-term cuts at 1200 and be a decent chance of holding on to some muscle mass. But that's not what most people do. They do a quick cut to 1200. They are eating 40 grams of protein a day, as Joe was. They're maybe doing some walking or some cardio. So there's no muscle sparing stimulus, not enough protein, no resistance training. So what ends up happening is your muscles disappear. Now that's a long-term problem, because when your muscles disappear, especially at 50 plus years of age, perimenopausal, your metabolism's already slowing down, and now you're putting the accelerator on the slowdown of the metabolism. So what inevitably happens is when you go, hey, I'm fucking over this 1200 calorie diet, I'm going to eat again. Only now your metabolism has slowed right down. And now when you rebound into a higher number of calories, all that you've created is a bigger surplus. So you regain the weight back quicker and in larger amounts until the next time you repeat the same thing. This is what's called yo-yo dieting. And each time it's harder to lose the weight and easier to gain the weight back, because you're driving your metabolism down primarily because of the loss of muscle mass. If you're a 40-year-old woman, or for that matter, a 40-year-old man, your number one priority should be to retain the muscle and strength that you have, because when you're 60, and you'll get there, the worst thing, the thing that's going to be protective of you when you fall over, is going to be the muscle that you land on. The thing that's going to help you to not fall over is going to be the strength and stability that you've got in your bones. And so our priorities are going to change over time. So Joe, what do you think has been the most, we talked about the nutrition component. If we can just go over your, I'm not going to share screen, but if we can go over your sort of progress weight-wise, you've just cracked the 70 kilograms, starting at a...
Yeah, I've lost 9 kilos.
Yeah.
I cannot get to that 10. I've been at the 9 kilo loss mark for about 2.5 months, something like that.
Yep.
But my body is still changing, so I'm okay with that. You know, I had this, I think I put a post up last week. I've got this like psychological 10 kilo mark is the milestone.
Remind me quickly, how tall are you?
155.
Yep. So continue about the milestone.
And so then we've got this number in our head because it's a round number and we're on a metric system.
Yep.
If the mark was 9.5, well, then I've smashed it because I got to 9.7. I've gone back up a bit in the last week, but I got to 9.7. It's just a number, right? It's just a number. But I look at my photos and I see them changing. And yes, I see my photos changing up and down from week to week too. And that might be a bloaty week or it might be something. But I can always see something in that photo. So I was comparing a photo from last week to a photo from July, so 2 months ago. And I'm like, I don't know if that's any different. Have I done anything in that? And then I look and I can see my back, and my back in the photo from July has like this layer of fat up on my shoulders and at the thing. And the back from last week, I can see muscles in there. Like, so I know it's changing. And so 10 centimeters off my waist, 10 centimeters off my hips.
Yeah.
But it's the changes, it's the strength, it's the fitness. I can walk uphill and go, oh, this hill used to be hard.
So good. So good. I love that so much. Hey, do you feel comfortable talking? You don't have to go into graphic detail, but has the relationship with your intimacy, because a couple of girls commented, has it helped?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. So it definitely has. I mean, there's always things without too much detail. More time would be also useful. But yeah, I feel better. I feel better.
So good. Because that's not about like, I don't, again, I can only speak to my own experience. That's not about getting it off. that's about like feeling comfortable in the connection that you have with your partner and being able to share something without that constant noise in the background that's like, oh, what can be thinking, what she's thinking, you know?
Yeah.
I think, and then I think that plays out. I was speaking to, and I can't wait to interview him on Friday. I was speaking to Ron yesterday, and he talked about the way that it's playing out in his life. It's not just his body, it's now playing out in his life and the way that he's thinking about his career and thinking about his his relationship status. And so good, so good.
It makes such a difference. I had this realization a while ago, like not only intimacy, but arguments. I was so negative about everything. And I just thought he was being an asshole. And he's not an asshole. He's like an amazing, amazing man. And then I had this realization. I'm like, shit, maybe that was me. Maybe I was being difficult because I was so negative all the time, because now things don't piss me off. Now I'm positive about things. I'm confident about things. I can let them go. That doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
Not just with him, but with everybody. Things piss me off way less. I'm just happy. I am just happy. I'm happier. I'm happy.
The way I think about that is it's a lens that you look at the world through. And when you're unhappy about yourself, you tend to look at everything with the same lens.
Yeah.
Once you start to feel somewhat good about yourself, it's almost like you're taking the bathroom mirror and washing all the white spots off it and everything's clear again. And then you start to look at the world in the same lens. The world changes. Your whole outlook on things change.
Yeah, it really has.
So can you talk to us about like what's keeping you consistent now, 6 months on? What do you feel like is the thing that's keeping you consistent? Because you've kept showing up to coaching calls, you've kept showing up to the community, you've kept showing up for yourself. What's driving you now?
I think what's keeping me consistent is it's simple. You made a quote the other day. It's simple, but it's not easy. Like, it's hard. You still got to do it. But it's simple. So it's not complicated. You don't have to spend a lot of time working it out. 2 weeks ago, I went, you know what, I'm just going to go back to the OG meal plan because I can't be bothered thinking about what to cook. I just put everything on repeat. I pretty much eat the same things from week to week. And it's easy. I still track my calories every single day. And I probably don't have to because I know what they are, but I like to see them. And I like to make sure I've got like 100 calories left at the end of the day so I can have my Gymbot ice cream, because that just keeps me sane. I am a chocolate sweet person and I have to have that. And the food is yummy. Things that I thought were yummy before are not yummy. So I love the food. I love making food. I love talking about the food. And everyone is sick of me talking about it, but bad luck for them, which is why the group is amazing, because they're not sick of it. They're happy to talk about it. We talk about it all the time. Everyone's sharing pictures of their food. And I think now I'm at the point where I like to give others, newbies, advice so that I can say, these things worked for me, try this. That drives me a bit too, like being able to give back because of the things that I know that worked for me, which may or may not work for everyone, except that they're so simple, they probably will work for everyone.
Have you heard of the hierarchy of needs?
No.
It's the general concept that once a person has taken care of their own self, they then start to realize that happiness and fulfillment comes from actually giving back to other people, right? And it's this kind of like, I guess, introspective part of you that starts to go, you know what? I don't know why. Like, I just feel good giving some advice and sharing. And I guess that's probably the zone you're in now. You still got your journey that you're still working on. So let's talk to that as we kind of bring this to a wrap. Like, where are you the type of person that's now kind of got a little bit of confidence and want to test yourself in something brave, or you're happy to just kind of pace it out a little bit slower?
Look, I'm happy to do brave. I've never said I'm happy to do brave. My husband will tell you that. But I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm not so focused on the weight numbers now. I want to see some more muscle definition. I want to see some strength. I want to be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? I want to be a bit inspirational. I want people to go, wow, look at her. I'll be 55 in 2 months. She's 55. Look at those fucking muscles. You know, like I don't want to be big and bulky. And I know you hear that from all the women, but I do want people to be able to see those muscles. I want to be able to see those muscles. I want to be able to get stronger. I go into the gym and I'm like, oh my God, I got lifted way more today than I thought I was going to. Yeah, me.
So let me
let
me give you a personal little bit of coaching while we're on this call about what I think you should do next from a perspective of like what direction.
Yep.
Okay. So where your numbers have come over the last, say, 2 months, you had some real acceleration at the start of your weight loss, right? And then it's kind of plateaued. You've managed to hang on to it, and you've also managed to keep your waist and hip circumference pretty steady. So over the last 2 months, you're good. Can I ask where your current calories are roughly? I haven't checked.
Oh, well, I did start to do a reverse, and I reversed up to about 1750 for a little while. And then I did the thing you're not supposed to do and had a target because I'm going to a fancy gala dinner. I want to fit a pink sparkly dress.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I'm going to try a little bit more of a cut. So I went back to 1500 and then I lost a kilo and I'm staying around 15, 16, but I didn't do anything last week. So I'm still back on 15, 16, which is why I went back to the OG meal plan.
Okay. So from where you are now, I think you're kind of in that zone where you're not a tall person, right? In addition to that, you're basically getting feedback that where your current calories are, you're probably not likely to all of a sudden just start losing more weight. That's not going to happen, right? That is because you're in maintenance calories at the moment. And I can see it with where you're up to with your kind of hovering around that 70 kilograms, hovering around the 100 centimeter waist. That's not really changing too much. You're feeling good. You're feeling energized. And so I think it's kind of like a decision. Do you want to stay in what we'd call like maintaining, just being happy at that and maybe enjoying the Christmas period and feeling like, you know what, like I don't want to do cuts at this time of year as we come into Christmas? Or do you want to choose a different direction? If you wanted to create deficit and try to fat loss more, I would rather you get on at the end of your gym sessions, potentially 3 days a week. I would rather you get on and do 20 minutes of incline stairs, a bike or incline treadmill, or even just 15,000 steps a day type thing. Ramp it up a little bit there rather than pull your calories down too much further.
Yeah, I think that's what I do. And in fact, even over the last couple of weeks, I did just add 10 minutes of Stairmaster. I did 5 minutes of rowing and I thought I might die. So I have been I have been starting to add some things on the end. The only issue is, and this is probably what everybody says, is I'm already in the gym for an hour. So by the time I do an hour and another 15 minutes and I go in the morning, I got to get home for work. My gym's 15 minutes away. But yes, that is where I want to go. I still have body fat to lose. You can see it in the latest photo. There's still body fat to lose, and I'd like that to go.
Yeah, well, I think in this case we could talk about a mini cut protocol where we're not going to go into the details in this podcast, but I think that in this case could possibly be something that we do. The most important things is that you don't take your focus on what's made you successful, which is keeping the protein high, doing the resistance training, and knocking out close to 10,000 steps a day, right? If we're doing those things, you're going to be losing the right type of weight.
Yeah.
What we don't want to do is go back to those old behaviors that we had before. Hey, guys, before we wrap this podcast up, do any of you want me to ask Joe any questions? I'm more than happy to bang it across to you because this has been super insightful. And if there's anything in here that, you know, you'd like to ask her firsthand, then please pop it in the comments and I will ask them. The types of things that I talked about, Joe, you know, to kind of keep the journey alive could include things like doing a Tough Mudder. I just think that's such a cool thing. And you might be like, Jace, do you think I'm getting this hair dirty? No way. You might be like that. Or you might be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it because it's not something that I'd ever do. Right?
Do you know the first thing that came into my head was an excuse? Literally. Like, this is still, I have arthritis in my knee, and I was like, oh, I won't be able to do that. I've got arthritis in my knee. Like, that is the old me. All the excuses. I can't do that. I can't, won't be able to do that. Of course I'll be able to do that.
Of course you can.
Like me.
We could look at changing the way that you're currently training into a more heavier lifting, power-based program, which for you is going to be completely foreign. But it's like, well, okay, that's going to mix it up for me a little bit. We could look to do some unilateral training, which would mean training one side at a time to really make sure that you've got kind of even strength across your body. So there's a few things that we could do. We could look to go through a mobility phase. We would only do these things to just keep you fresh and not feel like you're getting stale in your journey.
Yeah, I like fresh. And it's funny because I hear, every time you finish your 8-week cycle of your program, you say, should I do a new program? And the advice from your coaches is always like, just do the boring stuff, boring. But sometimes I'm like, but I see other people in the gym doing that exercise and I might like to try that exercise. So a little bit of fresh excitement for me probably would work well.
Yeah, there's a fine line there. For the most part, we're always going to say, keep doing the boring stuff because the boring stuff is what works. But then if you're at the point where you're kind of going into the gym haphazardly, you're lacking inspiration only because you've been doing the same programming for 6 months in that circumstance. And I think mixing up the adaptation to create a new style of adaptation can be a benefit. And you look at someone like Nikki Connolly, who's done exactly that. It's a completely different type of adaptation, right?
Yeah.
Joe, is there anything before we wind this out that you would like to kind of comment on, or perhaps just like give advice to the person that's sitting on the fence? No, like, I'm not asking you to plug our program. I'm asking you to talk to the person that was like you, that thought that they were broken.
Look, there's a couple of things that come out of most of the principles that you guys talk about, and it's hard. So you have to accept it's hard. It's not going to be easy. So you don't wait for it to seem easy. It won't seem easy. Don't wait for motivation, because you'll never do it. You'll still be waiting. You just got to fucking do it, and you'll hate it at the start, and it'll be hard, and you don't want to get out of bed and blah, blah. But I think you just have to make a decision to do it. Coach Troy on a call a couple of weeks ago said, and I've now got it pinned to my computer, knowledge is the key, but action is what makes the key turn. And that is like the nugget, Jace. That's the nugget, because you actually have to do it. And you can't wait for someone else to do it for you. You can't wait for someone else to motivate you. You can't wait for somebody else to inspire you. Something will happen you'll go, fuck it, all right, I have to do it today. But you actually have to do it. Saying I'll do it today is not enough. You need to do it today. That's my advice. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, and do it against how you feel. Right? Yeah, this is like, no one's going to wake up after being sedentary for 10 years or eating like an arsehole. No one's going to wake up tomorrow and go, you know what? I feel like eating high protein and going to the gym. That just doesn't happen. Like you said, you got to make a decision. Can you say the quote again? And if you're watching this on live, can you please write this in the comments so that I can basically commend Troy on this statement? Can you give it to me again, please?
I can. Knowledge is the key, but action is what makes the key turn.
Oh, what I'm loving so much is that I'm getting such great feedback from everyone at the moment around some of the guidance that is coming from all of our coaches and support coaches. And it makes me happy because we're working really hard on the back end to obviously improve our own skill sets. So that's so good to hear. And as I say, he is the best PT that I've met. Okay, guys, we're going to love you and leave you there. That was like super, super good. Joe, I want to, before we wind this podcast up publicly, particularly in front of the women's group, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for always showing up to our coaching calls, for being the bright, kind of radiant, resonant energy that's always on the calls, and being willing to share and being willing to answer the question first and being willing to have a punt, for just like showing up. Because the reality is, like I said, the majority of people need to borrow hope from somewhere, mate. They do. And I think there's a lot of people that borrow hope for a number of women in the group, and I worry about naming any other names because I'll forget some, but you are definitely one of the people that they borrow hope from. So your goal of wanting to give back is certainly, from my perspective, is being fulfilled. And I just want to let you know that I actually really, really appreciate it, even if I don't say it enough, because it really helps us to keep the energy of our community up. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I want to say thank you to all the coaches for literally saving my life. Literally.
We're going to end on that note. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast with the beautiful Jo Cameron, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Wow, that was cool, Jo. You did not need to be in any way nervous. Let's read a couple of the comments that are coming from the team. Melissa said, "You've helped me out with some nutrition questions I've had in relation to my FitnessPal. So thank you. You're inspirational. So good." We've got all the people.
Interesting, because I don't use my FitnessPal, but I'm a good student.
Yes.
And I have read all the advice.
It's pretty much, they're all pretty much the same, give or take.
Yeah, they are.
You are doing it, Jo, and doing it so well. Love this. Let's have a little bit more of a read. What else have we got? Do it with intention. Absolutely. Nikki's saying to you, I can recommend the unilateral program at the moment. It's really challenging and I'm doing it now. All the girls, Roseanne and Jo, saying you are an inspiration. And then, of course, Facebook's not letting me scroll any further back. So, this was great. Brilliant podcast, Helen says. Paul says, knowledge is the key, but action is what makes it turn. This is great. The crew loves you guys. So, dude, nothing more to say. Thank you so much. Guys,
I'll talk to everybody later today in the group. Bye-bye.
Does anyone want to say hi to my little boy?
Hello, darling.
You're going to say hello, Auntie? You're going to say hello? No. Why not? You're on the camera to everyone, and it's your day off. Are you tired?
No, I'm just a bit shy.
Just a bit shy.
Yeah. So cute. Guys, I'm out. See you later. Have a good morning.